Hello and welcome to Buffy and the Art of Story. If you love the Buffyverse and you love creating stories or just taking them apart to see how they work, you're in the right place. Today I'm talking about The Ring, Angel, Season 1, Episode 16, where a missing persons case leads to Angel being enslaved by criminals who run an underground gladiator-like boxing ring with demon combatants. I am Lisa M. Lilly, author of the Awakening Supernatural thriller series, the QC Davis Mysteries, and the Writing as a Second Career books for writers. You can find all of those and back episodes of Buffy and the Art of Story, including those that cover Buffy the Vampire Slayer from seasons 1 through 7 at lisalilly.com. That's LISALILLY.com. Along with a recap of The Ring, I'll cover themes of found family, persuasion, and leadership, foreshadowing within the episode, character growth for Cordelia, Wesley, and Cordelia and Wesley together, and my episode rating on a scale of 0 to 10. As always, there are no spoilers for this episode, but I will talk about the whole of Buffy the Vampire Slayer from time to time, so if you haven't watched that entire series, proceed with caution. Okay, let's dive into the Hellmouth, or maybe just Los Angeles. The Ring aired the first time on February 29, 2000. It was written by Howard Gordon and directed by Nick Mark. It begins with conflict between Cordelia and Wesley. First, they bicker over researching. Cordelia looks at her computer and says, "Demons, demons, demons." Wow, they put a lot of thought into that title. Wesley responds, "It's a demon database. What would you call it?" Cordelia says, "I don't know. How about demon database?" Wesley responds, a name rife with single entendre. He is much more a fan of books, no surprise, being a watcher. Cordelia isn't that thrilled with the database. She can't find Wolfram and Hart in it. When Wesley points out they're lawyers, not demons, she says pretty much the same thing. When Wesley learns the vagaries of Odin Tal, a reference to the episode She, are not in the database, he says it's points for traditional research. They then jeer at one another over their social lives. Wesley claims his is very rich. Cordelia notes it's probably doing a crossword and having a cup of tea. But their bickering pauses when Angel enters. Moments later, a man who looks really beat up stumbles in. His name is Darren McNamara, and he wants Angel to find his brother, Jack. Jack was kidnapped by, let's just say, not exactly people. And we go to credits. That moment of Darren coming in and asking for help sets off the main plot. So that is the story spark or inciting incident. After the credits, Darren shows Angel photos of his brother. The two weren't exactly close. Darren says he made something of his life and Jack didn't. Jack is a gambler, always in trouble over debts. Darren covered what he owed many times, but this time he refused. Then he regretted it and went to see Jack only to watch some sort of demons drag him away. The next day, he got a box with a severed thumb in it. He tells Angel that the last place Jack went was to see a bookie. Angel goes to see that bookie, interrupting a poker game where the players are talking about health drinks like wheatgrass. They are not too friendly to Angel, but Angel shows the photos of the brother and says his jacks beat the bookie's pair. Out in the alley, the bookie tells him it's not about money anymore. It's about making an example of Jack, and Angel says something like piece by piece, and the bookie agrees pretty much. He won't give any more info until Angel pays him. Jack is somewhere under Beechwood Canyon, and we get a quick shot of Angel pulling off a manhole cover to head underground. Back at the office, Cordelia enters the terms Wesley reads out into the database. The terms come from Darren's description of the demons he saw. They're pale. Cordelia asks hands or claws, and Wesley says claw-like hands, and they make a wailing sound. Cordelia says this is why she doesn't gamble. And she adds that if you add a Porsche and hair plugs, she's dated this guy a lot. Wesley's impatient. He claims by the time she enters all these terms, he'll have found the answer in his books, but before he can open one, she says it was howler demons. The scene cuts to those demons attacking Angel underground. He knocks out 2 of them and grabs the 3rd and threatens it. He learns that the howlers sold Jack. At night in a rundown neighborhood, very well-dressed people line up to enter a warehouse. Angel breaks in through the basement. He finds a fancy lounge where a very pretty woman with dark hair and really red lipstick sits alone at the bar with a drink. As she moves her glass, her ticket slips off the bar. Angel catches it, and the woman says, "You're quick." He gets a look at her ticket. It looks like some sort of sporting event or boxing event, which is more or less what it is, except demons are fighting to the death in a ring. Spectators high above have all bet on the match. One demon gets the better of the other, knocks him to the ground, and turns and raises his fists in triumph toward the crowd. They start chanting, killing blow, and someone throws a large knife into the ring. The demon, Tom Cribb, we find out when the announcer says his name, kills the other demon and is pronounced the winner. Angel spots Jack being led through the crowd as if he's a prisoner. Angel follows into some back hallways and rooms where he is stopped by not just Jack, but Darren. Other thugs come up behind Angel. Darren and Jack congratulate him for making it this far. Angel quickly realizes he was set up. Darren warns his brother Jack to be careful after what Angel did to the Howlers. Jack and Angel fight. Angel almost gets the better of Jack, but the goons behind him use their cattle prods to tase Angel and knock him out. Jack comments that this one has attitude. He'll be a crowd pleaser. We're nearly a quarter way through the episode, and that was the first major plot turn, the one that comes from outside the protagonist and spins the story in a new direction. And here that direction is Angel is now in a cell. This raises the stakes exponentially because Angel is in great danger. He has a silver cuff on his wrist, as do the other demons in the cages. Jack enters and tells the slaves to listen up, and he recites the rules. They have to stay back from the red line. So there is a big red line. It forms almost a box around the cages, and Jack stays carefully on his side of the line. The cuffs make sure the demons don't cross it. The only way out is to make your 21st kill. Then you'll be set free. Angel says he won't kill anyone, and Jack tells him then he'll be killed. Either way, the crowd will be happy. Cordelia and Wesley are worried about Angel. He never checked in. At first, Wesley makes light of it, but Cordelia points out that their client, Darren, should be waiting by the phone for news about his brother. Instead, he's nowhere to be found. Wesley decides he will follow Angel's footsteps and go see the bookie, which alarms Cordelia. This is the bookie that chopped off Jack's thumb. Wesley says he'll be fine, and he takes out a weapon. It's one that's very complicated with chains and a crossbow, and it falls apart in his hands, and he says, and he'll take some others too. In the meantime, the demons are given bowls of gruel slid across that red line. They're eating in silence, but Angel keeps trying to talk with them. No one responds other than to ask who he thinks he is. The green-faced demon Cribb steals food from Mellish, a young-looking demon who seems a little nervous and less strong than the others. Cribb uses his tongue to do it. His tongue shoots out. He grabs something, it's like an apple or something, and takes it, and then he takes the bowl as well. Angel tells him to give it back. The two almost get in a fight, except the guards come in with their tasers. Angel slides the bowl back to Mellish. Trepko, another demon, looks perhaps a little impressed with Angel sticking up for the other demon, though it's not quite clear. He might just be puzzled at what Angel has done. Mellish is not happy. He tells Angel off to the side that he can fight his own battles, and Angel shouldn't rock the boat here. Jack gives out the fighting assignments, and he puts Trepko, who was not only thoughtful but extremely powerful, up against Mellish. Krebs says that's not a fight, it's an execution. And Jack whispers to one of the other guards that after Trepko kills Mellish, they'll put him up against someone stronger for the real fight. One of the demons scheduled for an earlier time slot tries to escape, or maybe he is intentionally trying to kill himself because he races across that red line. He disintegrates and his cuff falls to the floor. Jack's unhappy. They paid a lot for him and they schedule Angel in his place. The bookie is beating someone up when Wesley appears and tells him to stop. He says he's looking for his employer. When the bookie says that Angel paid him $200, Wesley says the man he works for means a great deal to him and he won't pay anything. He will beat the information out of the bookie. This makes the bookie and his cronies laugh because of Wesley's accent and his manner and how, I would say, his dapper suit and clothes. But Wesley has something behind his back. While they're laughing, he pulls a crossbow, shoots the bookie, pinning the bookie's hand to the wall, and at the same time, with the other hand, pulls his gun on the bookie's friends. It's all very smooth, and we can see how determined Wesley is. He is not letting anything happen to Angel if he can help it, and now he demands to know where his employer is. Before the fighting starts, the dark-haired woman from the bar, we'll find out later her name is Lila, so I'll just call her that, tells Darren she heard a rumor the vampire has a soul, and does he think that's a plus or a minus in the fight? Darren says it probably depends what he's fighting for. Lila bets on Angel. In the back, Mellish, apparently a little grateful for Angel sticking up for him, gives Angel tips for fighting his opponent, who is a good fighter but has a bad eye. He tells Angel stay on the demon's left side. Angel insists he won't kill anyone, and Mellish says Angel has no choice. Jack walks in and says, "Let's go, girls." And this is one of, I think, 2 times when he calls all of them girls as a way, apparently, of denigrating them. At first, in the ring, Angel only defends himself, much to the crowd's dismay. Outside the warehouse, Cordelia, wearing this wonderful leopard coat, and Wesley approach a well-dressed couple in the crowd.
Those two are perfect.
Did you bring the badge?
No.
You said you had...
Sir, madam, I'm Detective Andrews. This is Detective Yelsu. Show him your badge. And write down their license plate number 439er, Peter Charlie Edward.
What are you doing? Why are you writing
Sir,
down...
if you could just calm down and give us your name.
My name is Matthew Winslow, as in Winslow Multimedia, and I happen to be a personal friend of your boss, Chief Tyler.
Well, give me your best. Could I see your tickets, please?
You'll be hearing from my lawyer tonight.
Are you aware that you've purchased tickets to an unlicensed sporting event?
Answer the detective. Well, if it's illegal, what are all these people doing here?
We're trying to do you a favor, Mr. Winslow.
Something's going down tonight. Something with the man.
A raid?
We're not at liberty to say.
But we could just go on home?
I think that would be a wise thing to do, sir.
As they walk off with the couple's tickets, Cordelia calls Wesley an idiot for saying something's going down with the man. From the edge of the arena crib, the green-faced demon watches Angel trying to only defend himself and not fight, and says, "Idiot." Thinks he can get by pulling a Gandhi. Cordelia spots their missing client, Darren, in the crowd of spectators. Darren is holding one of those cuffs. Wesley tells Cordelia these bracelets kill anyone who crosses the red line. The crowd is really unhappy with Angel. They're booing. And Darren puts down the cuff and gestures at a guard to toss a knife into the pit. Angel's opponent, Baker, gets the knife and swings at Angel, stabbing his arm. We're now at the middle of the episode where we usually see the protagonist make a major commitment, suffer a major reversal, or both. And here, Angel goes into vamp face after being stabbed. The crowd starts shouting, "Killing blow, killing blow." The fighting escalates. Angel gets the knife and stabs Baker in the chest. Baker dies. The announcer says Angel made his first career kill. The crowd cheers, and Angel seems dazed by the light and the noise, and he looks down at the blood on his hand. Wesley and Cordelia look devastated for him, and the episode cuts to commercial. A good hook. There's so much we want to know at this point. Will Angel get out? How will the other demons react? Does this change his attempts to convince them not to kill one another? In the holding area, Angel does try to convince Trepkos and Mellish, who are fighting next, that if no one fights, no one dies. They can fight their captors, but only if they band together. Trepko listens, but only says, "I'll kill him quick." And he's true to his word, because the fight lasts barely seconds and the crowd is extremely disappointed by the lack of drama. Cordelia and Wesley leave the warehouse, and Cordelia suggests calling the police, but Wesley points out they're probably in on it. If by some good fortune they're not, Jack and Darren would just destroy the evidence, meaning kill all the demon fighters. They have to free Angel. Wesley talks about how difficult the cuffs will be to get off. They're magical. Cordelia says, well, then we have to find a magical key. Wesley thinks he could make one, but they need one of those cuffs, which won't be easy to get. Cordelia holds up one of them, and he says, unless you happen to procure one when I wasn't looking. Presumably, this is the one that Darren set down when he gestured at the guard to throw a knife into the ring. Jack taunts Angel about how he's killed just like the others, except those demons know their place. Angel thinks Jack needs to learn his place. He reaches fast through the force field and yanks Jack onto the demon side of the line. He's got him in a chokehold and wants the other demons to search Jack for the key to the cuff, but none of them move. They are afraid. Angel tells the guards to go get Darren. And when Darren arrives, Angel demands that the demons be let go, and then he will free Jack. Darren says, "What do you think you are, Moses?" Angel tells him they both know there's only one way this can play out. This is Darren's brother, and Darren shoots and kills Jack and says, now he's my dead brother. Trepko looks sad as the guards tase Angel. But Angel wakes up in a very nice office on a leather chair. There's a bottle of champagne, and he recognizes the woman from the bar earlier. She introduces herself as Lila Morgan. He sees the law books and guesses she works for Wolfram and Hart, which she confirms. She convinced the partners to buy Angel's contract from Darren. So Angel is free. Angel rightly guesses that he's free only as long as he pretends none of it happened. That is the deal. And Lila argues that a lot of people in this city need Angel's help. And sometimes you need to compromise. Angel doesn't think so. He's not willing to look the other way. She tells him she prefers to think of it as picking the battles you can win. And there's not one reason the two of them can't work together. They have a ton of chemistry, and Angel approaches. He lifts his champagne glass. He smiles at her. He's standing only inches from her. And he tells her she's right. There are about 1,000 reasons. Looking into his eyes, she says she knows Angel wants to survive. She saw him kill that demon. This is his only chance. He should take it. He thanks her for the champagne, but declines. Guards that have been hovering in the background approach with their tasers, but he tells them they don't need them. He will go with. Patron Steve had comments on some recent episodes, somewhat recent. He is catching up on the top 10 favorite character arcs, which was a bonus for patrons. He sent his list and specified that for him to be in the top 10, the character has to be better at the end than when they were first met. So Willow, Xander, Giles, Riley, and Angel do not qualify. When I recorded the bonus, I just looked at what character arc or growth was most engaging to me. So Steve's going from 1 to 10, so his first favorite was Buffy, then Anya, Cordelia, Faith, Tara, Dawn, Joyce, Jonathan, and unfortunately, Andrew. The unfortunately was Steve's. He is not a fan of Andrew, but apparently had to admit that Andrew's character arc was a very strong one. And definitely my comment, Andrew was much better at the end than he was at the beginning. And finally, last, he listed Clem. His top 10 favorite characters, which I did for New Year's Eve, beginning with number 1, Spike, Anya, Cordelia, Buffy, Tara, Joyce, Willow, Giles, Angel, and Clem. Steve sent a follow-up later to say that he had somehow forgotten Faith. So Faith would be in his top 10 and he would reluctantly drop Clem. He also noted that I did not include Anya in either list, and I have got to think about why that is. I may do a bonus just looking at Anya's arc because she certainly has a strong arc and it just didn't come to mind. Separately, Steve sent a comment on New Sunnydale. For patrons, I looked at the leaked script for Buffy the Vampire Slayer New Sunnydale, which Sarah Michelle Gellar said was significantly changed before the pilot was recorded, but I was curious. I couldn't help myself. And I looked at, based on the script, would I keep watching? I asked whether you would keep watching. Steve said he would not, that it was too much of a recycled plot line. Something I didn't think about, but I can sort of see. If you are not a patron and would like to listen to that bonus episode and others, you can join the Patreon community at patreon.com/Lisa M. Lilly. That's patreon.com/LISA, M as in Marie, LILLY. And remember, patrons who join at the storyteller level also get access to all the modules of my online course, How to Plot Your Novel from Idea to First Draft. Finally, you can get a trial membership. I believe it's 7 days if you look on Patreon. So you can get that, take some of the course modules, listen to some of the bonuses, and see what you think. That's patreon.com/Lisa M. Lilly. Wesley is struggling to fashion a key. He's been up all night studying the textbooks. They need a material for the key that is strong enough to handle the electricity, but that won't create a shock so strong that it knocks Wesley across the office, which is what happens with his latest experiment. Cordelia rushes to his side. When Angel is walked back into the cell block, one of the demons mutters under his breath that Angel could be free, and Crib says the bloodsucker must be crazier than he thought. Darren schedules Angel to fight Trepkos, and it's Trep's 21st kill. He tells Angel that none of the demons are going to help him. The only way out is to kill. Doubling down on what Mellish said earlier, that Angel has no choice. At the office, Wesley tries another key he's made, but this time from under the desk. It too doesn't work, though at least it doesn't throw him across the room. It more fizzles, and he says he needs something supple enough to thread the locking mechanism, but strong enough to spring the release. Cordelia has an idea. She gives him horsehair from a bracelet. It's from Keanu, her palomino, before the IRS took everything away. A nice callback to Cordelia's history, and it means a lot. Obviously, she really cared about Keanu because she still wears this bracelet. And it is a wonderful moment of teamwork because it works. Lila attends the match between Angel and Trepkos. Angel is the new favorite. The crowd is very excited because this is Trepkos' 21st kill, or could be. The announcer calls Angel a true champion. Angel and Trepkos stand face to face in the ring. Much as with Lila, their faces are only inches apart, and Angel asks Trepko if that's how he wants to pay for his freedom with 21 bodies. If he does it, he will always be their slave, even if they take the cuff off. Trepko says he will kill Angel quick, and Angel says he won't let him. This is around where we usually see the last major plot turn that spins the story. Again, it should arise from the midpoint and further raise the stakes. Being scheduled to fight Trepkos at all raised the stakes, since Angel now is facing a very formidable opponent, and only one of them, at least in theory, can walk away. Now the fight is about to begin. At first, Angel once again only defends himself. Kreb is watching from the back, and he says Vampire's going to get his head torn off. His heart ripped out. What a loser. But you can see he is developing some grudging respect for Angel. In the back, Cordelia pretends to be looking for the ladies' room in those hallways that lead to the cells. She distracts the guard while Wesley sneaks in behind him. Wesley spots Crib and says he's looking for Angel. Crib says he's dead. Wesley looks devastated, and Crib adds, well, he will be soon. He's fighting Trepkos. Wesley thinks that the two of them can make a deal. He has a key for the cuffs. Wesley takes out the key. It's like a metal stick sort of thing, and Creb just uses his tongue to shoot out and grab it from Wesley's hand, even though he's pretty far away. A guard drops wooden staffs into the arena. Trepkos catches one and charges Angel. There's some great acrobatics here. Angel does a somersault to get away and grabs his staff as he rises to his feet. The fighting escalates. Wesley finds Cordelia, who is with the crowd watching, and he tells her someone took his key. Trepkos' staff breaks. And we are at the climax of the episode, where the opposing forces have their final confrontation, or at least we're in what leads up to the climax, because Trepkos isn't really the antagonist here. It is Darren and the whole operation. Angel has been wounded, but he does get an advantage. He knocks Trepkos to the ground and holds that broken staff at Trepkos' neck. It looks like he's about to kill him. In the back room, Crib is amazed when the key really does unlock that cuff around his wrist. He then goes to the edge of the arena and is once again surprised as Angel lets Trepkos go. The crowd is dismayed and boos. Crib's respect for Angel is growing. We can see it in his posture and his expression. Trepkos attacks Angel from the rear, spins him around, gets him in a strong grip, and pulls his fist back to strike that killing blow the crowd is shouting for. Above, Cordelia and Wesley creep through the crowd toward Darren. They have to do something to save Angel, but Trepko lowers his fist. He turns and looks at the crowd, which for once falls silent. Darren yells that the guard should kill or tase both of them. I'm not clear. I'm thinking kill. Wesley, though, pulls a gun on Darren and tells him to call off the guards. At that moment, though, Kreb and a bunch of demons he freed storm the arena. Darren uses the distraction to knock Wesley's gun arm away. The two fight, and in the arena, the demons and the guards are brawling. Kreb finds Angel and says, "Give me your wrist, loser," and unlocks his cuff. Darren almost gets the best of Wesley, but Cordelia knocks him into the ring from behind. Darren lands in the ring. He calls Trepkos a stupid slave for not killing Angel when he could have gotten free. He's about to shoot, but Angel disarms Darren. Kreb snaps a cuff onto Darren's wrist, and Trepkos throws Darren through the red line. Darren disintegrates. Angel, with the help of his team and the demons that he inspired, has prevailed. We're now at the falling action part of the episode where we tie up loose ends, resolve subplots. Angel is really battered and he almost passes out. Trepko helps him out of the ring and tells him it was a good fight. Angel says, "I could have taken you," which is maybe true, maybe not. I have a feeling Trepkos might have gotten out of it when Angel had the staff at his neck, but no question, Angel could not fight Trepkos anymore when Trepkos was about to strike that killing blow. Outside, Cordelia and Wesley take over on either side of Angel. They walk him out and tell him everything that happened. Angel thanks them for getting there in time and getting him out. And Cordelia says, "We weren't going to let anything happen to you." And Cordelia adds, "Well, I mean, beyond the slavery and the severe beatings and stuff." Angel tells them good work. Cordelia says, "Wesley came up with the key." Wesley says, "Cordelia came up with the key to the key." They are pleased with themselves. They set the captives free. And then Cordelia says, "Well, didn't we set a bunch of demons free?" Wesley responds, "Well, yes," as they watch the demons hooting and hollering and heading out into the night, presumably mostly to not do good things. And that is the end of the episode. A bit of foreshadowing for my rating at the end. The Ring is the opposite of one of the early episodes where I commented that I did not find anything new or very much new in it when I rewatched. And in contrast, The Ring, the first time I saw it, I didn't love the whole storyline. I can't quite recall why, but on watching it again for the podcast, I saw so much more as I was taking notes, and I watched a second time just to look more carefully without noting down anything about the plot, and there just was so much here each time. And speaking of foreshadowing, the plot uses foreshadowing quite a bit. We have Kreb early on using his tongue to shoot across the table and steal Mellish's food. And then that's how he gets the key from Wesley. It's such a quick, small moment, but it sets it up so that it doesn't feel like, oh, surprise, this demon has this handy power we didn't know about that completely, it seems, dashes all Wesley's and Cordelia's hopes of getting Angel out. Darren's feelings about Jack are foreshadowed, we think, because it's a setup that he wasn't being honest about his brother when he said, well, I made something of my life and Jack didn't, and we're not very close. He says Jack is a gambler and I've had to cover his debts. Now, we don't know how much of that is true, but clearly they are not very close. And when we see them, Darren is wearing a suit. He's the business guy, where Jack is in a tank top. He's got long hair tied back. He seems much more of the scrapper or the fighter. And I'm guessing is the one who had the idea for the gambling part. Or maybe Darren did too, but they definitely aren't close. So that when Darren shoots his brother and says, now he's my dead brother, it is a shock, it's a surprise, but it is believable because we have seen Darren be ruthless with the demons, and he told us he and his brother weren't close. And that's such an interesting way to do foreshadowing. Also, when Lila asks about having a soul, will that make Angel fight better? Darren says it depends what he's fighting for. And that applies not only to Angel, but to Trepkos. And even to Crib, who doesn't change how he fights, but he does change his view of Angel. And that view is influenced by what Angel is fighting for. I did see one possible plot hole, and this is part of what I didn't like the first time I watched it, which is Angel declines Lila's offer, which I get, but I found it odd that he went back. He could have, at least on first watch, I thought he could have broken out of Lila's office and then gone back to try to help the other demons or break up the ring. When I thought about it more on rewatch, I could think of a number of reasons that wouldn't work. One, Angel doesn't know what the setup is at Wolfram and Hart. Who knows? Maybe he wouldn't be able to get out, but he also wouldn't be able to get back to the demon operation, which, as Wesley points out, if they called the cops, if he and Cordelia called the cops, the whole thing would probably be shut down before the cops got there or as soon as they got there, and all the demons would be killed. And likewise, if Angel broke out, Wolfram and Hart could just alert Jack and Darren, and perhaps they would just kill all the demons or just move and set up somewhere else. So there are reasons Angel doesn't try to fight his way out. But you have to really think about that. And when I first saw the episode, I thought, well, this doesn't make any sense. The plot felt a little slow to me on first watch too. Some of it is that those plot turns I talked about aren't super defined, as not as much as they are in some stories. We have Angel at 24 minutes, which is beyond the midpoint, being scheduled to fight Trepko, or actually going in the ring with Trepko. And I mentioned maybe being scheduled to fight Trepko was the reversal. But the strongest moment that sometimes would come near a midpoint is either Angel going back to the ring, declining Lila's offer. That's a major commitment, and that is a bit early. Or Angel having Trepko where he could kill him and not doing it. And it's not a bad thing. What you really have there is a major commitment, then a reversal, then another major commitment. But I think on first watch, having that be a little more fluid and less defined didn't work as well for me, because I love those stories that really hit those plot turns hard. Likewise, that last major plot turn is somewhere around when that fight starts between Trepko and Angel, which blurs in with those commitment, reversal, commitment, and doesn't exactly spin the story because the fight was already scheduled. So there is a lot of blurring of those major plot turns. Nonetheless, there is an escalation throughout, and I enjoyed that more on rewatching, especially because I was looking more closely at how the different demons reacted to the things Angel did and didn't do, how it affected Crib, how it affected Trepkos, and that became much more engaging, where I feel like I missed a lot of that the first time I watched, where I was looking more for, okay, what's the story here? A part of the plot structure that works really well is that Angel, Cordelia, and Wesley are working separately, and yet they still function as a team. Angel is doing everything he can, stuck there, imprisoned there, and Wesley and Cordelia are moving toward working together better and better as they try to get him out. And the demons are part of getting Angel free as well. Trepkos and Crib play major roles, and all of that develops and moves forward, and in some ways moves in tandem, though we don't necessarily see it on first watch because we don't know how it's going to come out. So ultimately, I think it is a really well structured plot. The themes of the episode are very strong too. We have the theme of found family or family by choice versus the family that we are born into or blood family. Darren and Jack work together in this business, but clearly do not have a strong emotional bond. In contrast, Cordelia and Wesley are working together in this business. They don't start out with a strong emotional bond. They have been sparring, not just in this episode, but in previous episodes. Wesley maybe resenting Cordelia having her set place because she gets the visions, and he so strongly feels he has to earn it. He feels like Cordelia has not really earned it. I think they got through some of that, but at the beginning, they're not just bickering, like annoying each other. They're a little mean to each other, not working together well, symbolized by database versus books. By the end, they are a good team and they recognize it. They recognize one another's efforts and strengths. Briefly going back to the plot and also wrapping in a bit of character, when Darren shoots Jack, that makes a big impression on the demons. First, Angel has come back willingly because he does not want to leave them stuck. And he's not their brother. He's not their family. And as is alluded to in the end, he might even be their enemy later. Those demons who are going to go out and hurt humans, Angel would be the one to try to stop them and maybe kill them. They don't necessarily know that about him, but they might sense that he is different, and yet he comes back for them. And in contrast, Darren just shoots his brother. No problem. Now he's dead. So that makes an impression along with a lot of other things, particularly on Crib, who starts out with no interest at all in whatever it is Angel is trying to do. The other theme of it depends what you're fighting for resonates through so much. Less so, I think, with Angel, because Angel is already in that fight. That is the fight he is having day after day. When he kills that first demon, yeah, it is mostly because they throw in the knife. When Angel gets stabbed, it seems to, it does bring out his vampire side. He isn't necessarily aiming to kill the other demon, even in that moment, but in the process, he does kill him and he does survive. He wants to survive. But then he makes that choice where he is focused and he does know what he's fighting for, and he chooses not to kill Trepkos, knowing that it's possible Trepkos will not respond in kind. And initially Trepkos doesn't. Trepkos goes after him. But now Trepkos is thinking about, what is he fighting for? Is he fighting to get free? Angel points out to him, you won't be free. You will still be enslaved because you did what they wanted. You let them make the choice for you and control you. A quick reminder that if you would like to revisit the first 3 seasons of Buffy, you can do that through the Buffy and the Art of Story books. As with the podcast, they go through episode by episode, recapping the plot and pointing out plot and character and theme developments. Each chapter also includes questions to ask to help your own writing based on the episode. You can find links to the various retail platforms where the books are sold at lisalilly.com/Buffy books, or ask at your local library and they can order them for you. Wesley, it makes a huge difference what he's fighting for. When he goes to that bookie, he calls on all of his strength and determination, and it makes him effective because he is determined to help Angel. Angel means so much to him. Angel has given him this chance at not just a job, but a new life, a new purpose. And he was pretty lost before that. And so his determination to find Angel gives him what he needs. And it isn't perfect. He still stumbles at times, but he shoots that bookie. He pulls the gun on the others. He pins that bookie to the wall, his hand to the wall, and he uses the pain to basically torture the information out of the bookie, although we don't see that, but that is what happens. As always in the Buffyverse, there are themes of choice. Angel and the demons are told more than once, you have no choice. The only way out is to kill 21 times, and Angel keeps challenging that. Despite that, it looks like there really is no other choice, and it is very similar to Buffy telling Ford that he doesn't have a good choice, but he has a choice. Ford's choice is die of cancer. There is no choice other than becoming a vampire that will allow him to continue on in some fashion. So it's not a good choice, but it's a choice. And essentially that is what Angel is saying, because they all know, I'm sure Angel knows, that it's possible if they refuse to fight, Darren will do exactly what he did, just tell the guards to kill them all. Maybe he'll just start with a new batch of demons, but you are at least making a choice. The references to Moses and Gandhi and calling Angel a true champion are all done somewhat in scoffing ways. Kreb is like he's trying to pull a Gandhi. Darren says, what do you think you're Moses? And of course, the announcer doesn't mean champion the way Angel thinks of it. Yet it shows the power of labels, the power of words. And Angel is trying to use principles of nonviolence. He is goaded into killing, but he does his best to only defend himself, only use violence in that way. And he works so hard to persuade the demons. And this is an interesting theme as well, because he doesn't try to persuade them of the moral rightness or wrongness of either path. This makes sense. He doesn't know what the demons' values are. Maybe some do not go out and kill humans. We've seen in Angel, even more so than in Buffy, that some demons are not out there doing evil. We had the episode where he told Kate just recently there are not evil things, but some of these demons probably are evil things, intent on harming humans. Angel doesn't know one way or the other. So he instead appeals to what will speak to all of them, that they are enslaved. None of them, even those who are good fighters, want to have to go in that ring and fight, because even a good fighter can have a bad day. 21 kills is a lot. So he appeals to, if we band together, we can defeat our captors. He tells Trepkos, even if you kill me and they let you free, you won't be free because they've taken that away from you. That is an important message. If you are trying to persuade someone, you need to connect with what's important to them, or at least it's going to be easier if you connect to what's important to them versus what you think they should value. And this is where Darren shooting Jack applies, because at least for some of the demons, there is some amount of kinship among them, even the ones who are willing to kill one another, and they see that Darren has none. There is some nuance to the nonviolence message, because Angel does at times use violence. You could argue it's self-defense. He grabs Jack, he pulls him onto his side of the line and threatens him. And we don't know, but he might have been willing to kill Jack if it would get the others free. Angel does kill to survive when he's in that first demon match. So it's not that Angel is perfect on the side of nonviolence, but he is striving. And that is a message too, that you don't have to be perfect, or if you make a mistake, you can still keep going. You can still inspire others. You can still lead a movement. Finally, the gray area here is freeing all those demons. Some of them will probably go on to cause harm to people. The impression we get when we see them running off into the night is, yeah, some of them are probably going to go out and terrorize people. Cordelia and Wesley comment on that, but there is the theme of not preemptively killing a demon, not assuming that the demon will go out to do bad things. The evil in front of Angel is these demons being held captive and forced to fight one another. And it is not part of what Angel, Cordelia, and Wesley do to prejudge who these demons are and what they might do. The important thing is the evil that they can address versus what might happen if they let those demons go. Moving on to characters and character arcs, we have a lot of character growth here. Wesley is so skilled and so coordinated when he uses the crossbow and the guns. Everything goes perfectly. That doesn't happen every time in the episode. He pulls the gun on Darren again and gets distracted, understandably, when all those demons flood the arena, but Darren then gets the better of him and is about to kill him when Cordelia intervenes. So it's not that Wesley suddenly becomes Superman, but we see a great deal of growth when he is fighting for Angel, and we see growth when he and Cordelia work together. He spent all night studying the texts, figuring out what would work to create a key. He keeps testing and trying, and ultimately is very effective. Cordelia, too, shows growth in her skills. We've seen her acting be not great at times, and we know she has doubts about her acting, but she is so good as the detective, so much better than Wesley, but very authoritative, and it works. This couple believes her and hands over their tickets and goes away. And so it's not just the acting, it is also a plan. We don't know if she and Wesley came up with a plan together, but she figures out on the fly what will work. And there is great growth with her and Wesley both working together as a team and bonding by the end. Darren and Jack, we don't learn a lot about them, but everything we see and learn fits. It's a great example of relatively few moments showing a great deal about these characters. Darren's lies in the beginning that turn out to be partly true about not being close with his brother. Jack's attitude about Angel. He'll be a crowd pleaser. He has an attitude. Jack seems to be the one in there with the fighting and the one who is scrappy and all in on this scheme. Darren is too, but it seems much more like he cares about it for the money-making enterprise. Jack likes the bloodlust and the gambling. I'm inferring all of that, but you can get that from how they act, from how they're dressed, from what little they say. And then, of course, Darren shooting Jack tells us so much. Trepko, from the beginning, we get the feeling he might not be one of the evil things. He seems to respect Angel for trying to help Mellish. He's very thoughtful. He watches what's going on. And while he won't agree to not fight, he does tell Angel, I will kill him quick, about Mellish. And he does. Despite that, he must know that could be a risk to himself. The reason they value him is he puts on a good show. He's a good fighter. And now he is not doing that. And that builds and builds. Each thing Angel does, Trepko watches, his respect for Angel grows, and ultimately he is persuaded to stop fighting. And it is believable. Crib is interesting as well. We don't see him a ton, but we watch this first scorn for Angel. He's ready to fight him in the back after Angel sticks up for Mellish. Definitely seems ready to kill him and eager to face him in the ring, probably. He is calling Angel a loser, and yet he is impressed. Probably not with a nonviolent idea or the value Angel places on life, but that Angel will defy his captors, will risk his own life. And at first, we can tell Crib thinks that's stupid, but gradually he sees this happening. And then Wesley shows up, Angel's associate, and has a key. And I think that when that key works, it's the first time Crib thinks, oh, this whole thing could work. We could all get out. And it's interesting. He doesn't just take off. He frees the other demons. The first time I watched the episode, I thought Crib might just take the key, set himself free, and leave. Why does he care about anyone else? But maybe because of Angel's example, maybe because all along there was some feeling about these other demons, but he just couldn't afford to have it. He frees the others, and ultimately he's the one who frees Angel, which I love, and it is such a good arc for him. Angel doesn't have as much of a growth arc. He starts out with the view that fighting is wrong, killing is wrong in this circumstance, that he won't do it. He falters. He does kill the one demon, but he recommits himself, and in the end, he is willing to let Trepko kill him. That doesn't happen. So I don't know that he has grown, but he has stuck to his position despite stumbling blocks, and he comes out very battered and beat up, but supported literally and figuratively by his team. And we have a new character, Lila. We don't get to know too much about her. She is a bit ambiguous. She's telling Angel, oh, all these people need your help. You should compromise, take this chance to get out. And we don't know what other agenda she has. She's with Wolfram and Hart, so she must have one. We know they are interested in Angel, and it's not clear. Does she care about good and evil? Does she care about the good Angel could do? Is she only trying to protect Darren and Jack's operation? Because who knows, maybe it's backed by Wolfram and Hart. There's a lot we don't know. But the chemistry between her and Angel is interesting, and she represents an archetype, the femme fatale, often used in noir. And I looked up a definition, and this really does fit Lila. And it makes sense because Angel is somewhat of a detective noir series. Britannica says, femme fatale, a seductive and beautiful woman who brings disaster to anyone with whom she becomes romantically involved. The femme fatale is an archetype that appears throughout history in mythology, art, and literature, and became a principal character in the hard-boiled detective novels and classic film noir of the 20th century. Now, we don't know if she would bring disaster to anyone she became involved with, but there are certainly hints of that. The Britannica entry goes on, the femme fatale has been dismissed as a sexist figure of male fantasy, but also defended as a subversive character who transgresses women's limited social opportunities. She is a stock character who embodies many negative tropes about women, but she is also multifaceted and complex. Her intelligence is as essential to the archetype as her beauty. It is her conniving and ambition that often drives plots. This part 2 we see hints of with Lila. She is clearly very smart. We don't know to what extent she is driving any plots or if she'll come back, but interesting to keep an eye on her if she does. And I did appreciate those comments about the character. It is one of the things I do not like about the hard-boiled detective fiction, that's the role that women have. In the 80s, both Sarah Paretsky and Sue Grafton began writing the first of the female private investigator novels, V.I. Warshawski and Kinsey Malone. And that is why I loved V.I. so much. V.I. is from Chicago like me, and I just love those books. They later inspired my own series. But at the time, there just wasn't anything else like them. The women you got in the detective novels were the femme fatales. Now that is not the case anymore, though, I can appreciate a character like Lila, assuming that she gets developed and doesn't just play that role. Moving on to world building, what does this episode do to the Buffyverse, if anything? Darren shooting Jack reminded me a bit of in the Body Switch episode when Buffy in Faith's body takes one of the Watchers hostage. She gets a gun to his head and she threatens the other Watchers. And as with Angel and Jack, the leverage doesn't work because if the other person is willing to let you kill the hostage, you've got nothing. And here, Darren not only is willing to let Angel kill him, he shoots him himself. With Buffy in Faith's body, it's a little different. It is not that the other Watchers don't care, but they basically say, hey, we put our affairs in order before we go. We know one of us might die, and that's just how it is. They are prepared for that because of the possibility. Now, Buffy lets the hostage go, which impresses one of the other Watchers who has taken who they think is Faith captive. But it is a similar message from the Buffyverse. As I mentioned, the theme of choice is one that we see a lot in Buffy. This episode does continue to expand the world in Los Angeles, though. Clearly, there are so many people who know about demons. So it isn't like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where mainly it's just people who encounter vampires and demons. And generally, we see most of them forget it, put it out of their minds, rationalize it away. That gradually changes as the series goes on, but until we get to the point where Sunnydale is emptying out in the 7th season, the sense is that for most people, life goes on and they are unaware of the demons. Here, there are all these people who not just know about demons, they pay to come and see them fight. So the demons, the vampires are very much in the fabric of this world of everyday life. On the other hand, the issue of not killing demons preemptively is similar to Buffy. Buffy does not kill demons just for being demons. Now, she might kill them before they actually threaten her if they're, say, all in on a plot to end the world, something like that. She might kill the demon even if it is not at that moment threatening anybody. But similar to Angel, Cordelia, and Wesley here, I am pretty sure Buffy would try to stop these demon rings. She would not think that this is okay. At the same time, primarily her goal is to protect humans. So it fits to me that this story is not in Buffy, it is in Angel, because Angel has a more complicated relationship with other demons. Finally, teamwork, a big theme in Buffy. Buffy is stronger with her friends. Sometimes she relies on them. They make major contributions or even occasionally save her. And here we see that teamwork. Angel, Wesley, and Cordelia, despite not being able to communicate at all, work together. And Angel is able to essentially bring those demons onto his team or create a team with them to oppose the captors. That is very consistent with the Buffyverse that we know. Given all of that, what is my rating of the episode? I do this based on how much do I want to re-watch. In this instance, the rating is much higher than it would have been at first. I probably on first watch, it's hard to remember. It's a long time since I saw it the first time, but I probably would have put it somewhere around a 6. There were moments I really loved, especially with Cordelia and Wesley. Maybe I would have gone a little higher. But I enjoyed rewatching this. I saw so much more in it, so I am giving it an 8 out of 10. If you'd like to tell me what your rating would be or share your thoughts about this episode or any other, you can email me at buffystorypod@gmail.com or comment on YouTube on the Buffy and the Art of Story Facebook page or on Patreon. That is it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and a special thank you to the patrons who support the podcast. Come back next time for Season 1, Episode 17 of Angel Eternity, where Angel is drawn to a popular actress he saves from a stalker, but when she learns his secret, it could be deadly for everyone. You can find back episodes of Buffy and the Art of Story, as well as the Buffy and the Art of Story books and all my fiction at lisalily.com. To support the podcast, hear extra bonus content, and get each regular episode a few days early, join the Patreon community at patreon.com/Lisa M. Lilly. Music for this episode was written and performed by Robert Newcastle. Buffy and the Art of Story is a production of Spiny Woman, LLC. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved.